Good morning, everybody. There was a long silence there because I am attempting to go live on Facebook and it's not working. So let me take a moment to go live on Facebook because that would be a little bit easier for all of us to catch the recording. There you go. Here. Whoops. There. Just want to make sure that I'm going to the Soul Purpose group to, when we do this kind of event, sometimes it's a little bit tricky because I need to go live right after I turn off my music. Okay, perfect. Live streaming. I think it's working. Okay, hi everybody. I am going to pin myself there. Okay, welcome to 3-day Art of Becoming training. There are a lot of people actually who are joining who have never been in the training in the past. I think a lot of people who are joining live are those who have been exposed to my energy, but I have done many events in the past. Maybe it's been 2 years since I started to proactively doing the event. Different ways to express myself. You will realize and sort of find out everything that I talk about every single time is taking all of us to the same direction, but just from different angles. And in the past, I used different webinars and all that, but for the last 2 years, what I have been practicing more is doing this kind of live training. And, not to make it complicated, the single message that I have to the world is to really help all of us becoming the creator of our life. And I think one of the goals that I have, because each day we have different theme, but becoming the creator of life, I would love for everybody to sort of contemplate on this idea because it's more than it sounds as a sentence. There's layers in the meaning of it. So I will come back to that. But let's just to get going though, maybe type on the chat if you're joining live. And if you're watching this replay on Facebook, or even you can use the comment section on Facebook, just to let you know, if the advantage of being live in that Zoom is that I'm able to track all the comments. Now, I'm not going to track the Zoom comments and the Facebook comments live while I'm live both together. So there's going to be a little bit more interaction if you join Zoom. And if you're tuning in and watching this via Facebook, there's a certain, relationship there between myself and the audience, just to be on the same page with everybody. And if you're watching live, I would love for you to just share where you are joining from. Many people are, from the Bay Area, United States, but there are people from other countries. I think where I live, California, is 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We're going to go through that, but maybe that's 75 to half an hour. Yeah, no longer than half an hour each day. And the first 2 days is going to be more me delivering the message. So any comments, interaction will be done via chat. Day 3 is where we're going to take deeper and I'm going to take questions. So as we go along, when you come across or come up with different comments, you can use the chat box. But if you have any question, if you could kind of, leave it aside and put a note down so you can ask on day 3. And the reason that I want to do that is because I want to sort of focus on delivering the message day 1 and day 2. But also, sometimes the answer of the question will be answered later or the day 2 when you have it, right? So if I don't answer your questions or something that's unclear on day 1 and day 2, day 3 is a place definitely to ask questions, and day 3 is always a place for me to introduce everybody how to go deeper. And what do I mean by that? something that's coming up for me, and especially working with the team and people that I'm close with in this space, more and more, which is something that I knew, more and more, my realization is that what we are doing is a education. Yeah. What we are doing is a awareness education. And awareness is your medicine. Yeah. If we speak the health, wellness, healing language, awareness is the medicine. If you are somebody who speaks a relationship language, awareness is the lab. Yeah. And if you speak a soul purpose language, right? Awareness is what takes us to the soul. And some of you might know that I have a background in holistic health education, which is perfect, right? And something that I have come to realize, this is something that I knew even before I started to get into that school, but I always was somebody who was seeking the root cause. Why? Why this is this way, right? I wasn't satisfied with when somebody says, oh, this is how it is. Okay. And if that doesn't make sense to me, I was somebody who wanted to explore why that is, and if that even makes sense for me, right? So one of the things that I want to encourage here is that there's going to be different perspective and view that I will be presenting based on what makes sense for me. And this is not a place, I always laugh when I start talking about this. This is not a place to tell me that if you agree with me or not. It doesn't really matter for me if you disagree with me. Go ahead and disagree with me if that's working for your life. Yeah. So this is not a place to discuss or debate different point of views or belief systems or anything. Yeah. And then the language might be different, right? But I am very convinced that, there's some of the viewpoint might be my belief, right? Well, actually, it's always going to be that. As long as I communicate in language, there's going to be some sort of belief that is infused in the message. It's never going to be no belief when we speak language. Yeah. And it's going to be up to you what you want to receive, what you don't want to receive. There might be something that you hear and doesn't resonate. That is fine, right? Like I have had many teachers in the past and none of them resonate with me 100%. Yeah, I have had many teachers in the past and none of them resonate with me 100%, which is the reason that I'm formulating my sort of delivery, right? But many of them resonated with me so much that I'm bringing things from different people to sort of create I wouldn't say fusion, but integration of what has been true in my experience. Yeah, what has been true in my experience. So what I want to encourage everybody to do is to listen to and then contemplate on different ideas that I will be sharing today, and then in conjunction with your life. And something that I always make sure to communicate at the beginning is to sort of come from the beginner's mind. Means that if you could take a moment to listen to me as if you have never heard, even though there might be things that you already think that you know, or I notice. And the reason that I like to encourage that is because when you start listening from the energy, oh, I already know this, right? There might be a little bit deeper that I'm going to say next that can land differently. And if you say, ooh, I'm already noticed, and then the ability to absorb the next information will be diminished. Yeah. So to listen to and then come to this energy from the place of not knowing anything, and at the same time, I would love for you to know that you already know everything. Yeah, you already know everything. You don't really need, my message. You already know inside. And I think through the message that I deliver, what I'm really doing is not to giving you any new information. It's something that you already deeply know, but what I'm really doing is I'm opening the gate so you can hear what you have to say inside deeply. And that has been my experience being influenced by different people where, okay, what is this? Like, why does it resonate with me? Like, if there's something that resonates with you from what I say, it means that it's already inside of you. The resonance happens when there's two parties, right? The energy, the voice, and the message and the meaning that I express, and that energy that I'm expressing is resonating with something that's already inside of you. So it's already inside of you. And what I'm doing is that through that and feeling you resonating, you are allowing what's inside of you to come out a little bit more. And that is actually the definition of education, to draw out from within. Because we are living in this material world that is confined with gathering information, skill set from the outside, education became something that is not. Education became something that we need to learn something from the outside that we don't know to fill the cup. But the truth is that the cup is already filled when we came here. There's nothing that we don't know as far as about ourselves and the deep knowing. I'm not saying that when we came out of the womb, we knew how to use iPhone. That's not what I'm talking about, right? iPhone came later. So, but the deep knowing the wisdom of who we are and that study of ourselves is something that we intuitively and deeply know, and the cup is already filled. But through that programming, that has been sort of diminished, right? Which is something that I'm going to be talking about. That's part of the divine blueprint, right? Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people joining from different places, which is fantastic. I want to ask everybody a question, and if you could use the chat box. Not many people ask, like let's pretend that we're at the party, right? And then you're entering into that space with that intentional party, right? And there's a little bit of socialness in it. And then you have this curiosity and a sense of excitement that you might meet somebody who you might have not met, that encounter, yeah. And then when you sort of run into, okay, you hit somebody else's shoulder walking by and, oh, hi, excuse me, right? You never ask, who are you? At that point, right? You never ask, who are you, right? Right? You might ask, okay, oh, hi, what's your name? Or where did you come from? Where do you live? What do you do, right? Are you with somebody here? I don't know. What do you like to eat? What other questions, right? But all those questions are identity questions, yeah? We never ask, who are you? Yeah. We never ask, who do you identify yourself as? I mean, you can try. When you go to a party next time, maybe you can try, who do you identify yourself as, right? That person might kind of scare away. But so if you could take a moment on the chat box, because if you're entering into this energy, you kind of are aware of where I'm going with the whole thing, right? I mean, who we are is not confined to our identity, right? So the role that you're playing, you might be a mother, you might be a owner, you might be an artist, you might be some, like, what is your identity currently, right? How would you identify yourself? If you could type on the chat, what is it? Are you a mother? Are you a father? Are you a light warrior? Are you an artist? What is a one noun that would fit your identity the most, that allows you to feel good? I mean, you can say my identity is love. You can say my identity is somebody who like help. Yeah. You can say my identity is divine something, right? Like what feels good to you? Because I think when people like if you have a business card is interesting, right? Business is a serving, right? And there is an identity and the role that we present to people. Like even, I mean, business card might be very outdated today, right? And even website is now said it's outdated. Like there's a social media and you have your bio to sort of share to others who you are, right? Who you are in this world is currently described as the role and the identity that we play, right? Like, what would you say? Like, how would you want to share with people? How do you see yourself is what we want to begin contemplating, right? So Natalia from Poland is saying, I am love. Karen is saying, artist, spiritual being. Yeah. I mean, I would love for you to kind of share that, Karen, when you meet somebody new in the future, like, oh, hi, what do you do? I'm an artist and I'm a spiritual being, and see how the other person responds. To see I'm an artist and holistic healing guide. So that's an impactful identity. I am an artist of, okay, nice. I guess artist feels, why, like artist feels good, right? A mystic. I also have an identity of mystic, inspirational person. Oh, yeah. So something that we want to contemplate this week, the next 3 days, is to begin identifying that. Yeah. And then, believe it or not, you can identify yourself however you want to. So Mary, you're saying that you're a creator. Alexandra, you're saying healer, freedom, a freedom creator. That sounds attractive. Perfect, fiber artist. You are an artist. It is. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that identity is something that we want to sort of cultivate and warm up and nurture and expand upon the next 3 days and beyond, because often for most people, the identity sort of gets influenced by the outside. The identity gets influenced by the past, present self and all that, right? So before we get into the topics though, that meat of today, the divine blueprint, mastering the divine blueprint, something that I want to emphasize one more time is that I think we are a school, right? I am creating a space for people to be educated about themselves and to know more about who we are and to know more about what really life is from an alternative perspective compared to how it's been seen by the general public. And our goal is to really create a culture, let's just call culture or group, to be able to support that vision. And when that numbers of people who can lean into that idea and vision increases at a certain point, there's going to be a tipping point. And I'm talking about tipping point will be, I don't know, there's 7 billion people in the world. And I'm not really over exaggerating, though. I'm looking at the entire world and how much we can bring those people onto our side. Yeah. And I'm not the only one who is doing this, right? There are a lot of people in the world who are doing something similar to what I'm doing, including Joe Dispenza. Michael Beckwith seems to be using the closest language that I use. of course, Abraham Hicks, and anybody who is sort of extension of the Bob Proctor community that I came from. Bruce Lipton is a cell biologist who wrote Biology of Belief, where I studied, coming from a holistic health background. There's an institute called Heart Math in Boulder Creek, which is close to Santa Cruz, that I have sort of involved in the past, where they talk about the electromagnetic field and heart rate variability of the heart, and how that is what we want to focus on to be able to create wholeness and healing and all that. So different communities and space out there that has unique messages, but we are all taking the world to the same direction. So that title or the name that I'm proposing is, we are Satori Mindset, the School of Satori Mindset. Satori comes from Japanese language, which means enlightening and awakening. And the mind needs to realize who we are in order for us to allow who we are to shine through our identity. And I think this sounds a little abstract or general, but I have come to believe and realize that when we work on that, a lot of stuff in life becomes very easy. So we do this sort of free training now every other month. We do different activities on the Soul Purpose Facebook group. If you're not part of the group, I would love for everybody to join. And I'm talking to everybody who is watching replay too. And ultimately, we have different programs, right? The Art of Becoming 3 days is this week. The Becoming study group will be studying next week, April 6th. You will be informed what that is in the email today and tomorrow. And then we have different programs that really help people realize into their divine self. Yeah. Ultimately, becoming the creator is our goal for people to accomplish and experience and demonstrate. But what that really means is that to awaken the divine self in you, in the mind, which is to be able to see yourself as a spiritual being, to be able to live your life from a spiritual place. Yeah. And one of the things that I want to mention is that it's pretty easy to say that, okay, I am a spiritual being, right? And then the question that we always want to ask is, am I living that? Am I living that way? Yeah. And that's something that we want to ask ourselves all the time, right? Because the knowledge that you will have and get and receive through this training is a knowledge. And you have an understanding of, okay, it kind of makes sense that we're spiritual beings, because I have been experiencing different things that's happening in the invisible world. And I'm by now certain that the world is beyond what we can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Yeah. But then we have this way of doing, way of operating, including thinking and feeling and behaving in a way that we are so accustomed to, that we met the way we have seen in our surrounding. So we act in a certain way because our parents did it, right? I want to do this, but I'm finding myself doing the opposite because of whatever the past experience I had, right? So the question that I ask myself all the time is, okay, I have this knowledge and information that resonate with me. And then you want to take that into your day-to-day internal experience. This is more tomorrow, the vibrational reality, right? And then ask, am I living that way? If I'm not living that way, what I not know to be true intellectually, what is that about? Yeah, that is the place of embodiment. So one of the things that, two things, right? Education is to draw out from within, but true education is by drawing out, you become one instead of you become somebody who knows somebody, right? You don't, you know, you become somebody who knows about it, and you becoming it is different. And that is the process of the intellectual information allowing to enter into our subconscious and to become it. How do we become somebody when the belief shift? Where can we witness and observe our belief? We can witness and observe our belief in every moment in the reaction to life. Something happens in your life. Many things happening in life. Yeah, life just keeps going, right? It's flowing and circulating, and it's moving, right? The sun rises, rain, breathe, car runs, somebody walks in, and things are always moving, right? And something happens in our immediate surrounding, and what we think and how we feel about it, the reaction is gonna tell us where our belief is. And I think because we are so accustomed to focus on the outside, we stay focusing on the outside. We stay focusing on the outside. But we want to shift our attention to be able to shift the way we focus on, and we want to observe the reaction that's arising from within, and that's where we want to begin able to shift. Yeah. Many people think that we're living in the physical world. We are more than that, living in our emotional reality inside of us. So you'll hear from us different ways that we can join us to be able to get to the next level. 3 days is a great introduction. And it's interesting because I was talking with Emily and Julia yesterday, where because they have been in this energy for quite some time. And then I have done different study groups, different programs from 21 days to 3 months to 6 months. And like I observe myself too, like what is the sweet spot, right? What is the sweet spot for transformation? And it's very interesting though, because this thing that we're doing is very fundamental and it's neglected. And it does take a little bit time. It's not like you're learning how to use some mechanical thing that is fixed that you can just kind of learn from step 1 to step 10, right? A to Z. There's a constant unfolding, right? Like I express myself through this kind of training. I go live and I talk to people, I work with my clients, and I feel like I'm unfolding and growing every single week, which is very fun because I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth through a different awareness. And then even when I went live on Soul Purpose Group yesterday with Julia and Emily, I found myself, okay, I'm realizing something right now. As I speak and as I interact with both of you, I'm realizing something that I wasn't aware of right now. The depth of the realization is something that we want to stay in touch with the energy, right? So let me just tell you, right? You might want it to be faster, but I feel like the sweet spot for transformation to begin cultivating that divine self in you is a year to 2 years. Maybe that might be shorter than you thought, right? But that year to 2 years is to set the foundation, right? It's very interesting because I was in a psycho-spiritual group called Diamond Approach before, right? And then Diamond Approach is a school that was created by Almas, and they are in Berkeley, actually. But they do retreat, right, twice a year. And then they are people who are devoted into awakening and spirituality. Yeah, I was with them. And they go through the retreat and all that for like 10, 15 years. And then people who become diamond approach teachers, they need to be in the group for like 15 years. And then they have to look at evaluation, and they're not guaranteed whether they can become or not. Yeah. So the point is that there are a lot of things that is a weekend course to become somebody, like a certification on paper, right? Completion, certificate of completion, right? This is not that. Like, we're seeking a true change and shift in the becoming. And my observation is that, including myself and watching people around me, a year to two is necessary, right? A consistent belonging to that energy in the group. Yeah. And we can start slow, right? And the reason for that is, what I have witnessed to everybody is that you enter into the energy and then you finish, because that time of whatever the length finish, right, 3 months, and they go back to their life and their habitual state kicks in. Something comes up that triggers you. And if the people around you in your life are those who are into this kind of thing, that gives you a sense of expansion, that's a different story. But for many people, it is not. So then the old previous version of the way that you are reacting to the world kind of shows up, and then start dissipating, drifting back to the old state. That has been my observation. And that even happens when you are in the group. Let's say if you join a program, of course, right? But you bring that, and then we reset that energy. Hey, come back to become the creator, not the createe, which I'm going to be talking about today. Createe is the outside creating you. So if you're reacting to the outside in a way that you're not navigating or controlling, you're being created by the outside. But the whole point is, how can we relate to that to stay consistent with the creator? So in and out energy, and then to stay in that energy is important. Yeah. Okay. I haven't started the topic just yet today. Yeah. So let's talk about the topic of this week, out of becoming. The reason that I wanted to talk about that and focus on that is because I am seeing a lot of people who are struggling to change their life. There's something that you want to change in your life currently. I want you to take a moment to imagine that. And let's say that the thing that you want to see change in your life is an after effect of your inner climate, whatever that is. The thought process that you're thinking, the emotions that you're accustomed to feel, and the belief that you're operating from. Yeah. So there needs to be something else in the inside in order for the outside circumstance to shift. Yeah. Because there's a universal law, cause and effect, which I'm going to be explaining more tomorrow. That inside is the cause, the energetics. The energetics is in your body, in your subconscious mind. So there is a thought and thinking in your mind, but the energy in your body is what becomes the point of attraction to unfold and formulate our surrounding life circumstance situations. So if you are living your life currently kind of feeling stuck with, I don't know why this outside thing is not moving, more than likely, that's because you're focusing on the outside. Yeah. More than likely, that's because you're focusing on the outside. What if we decide that the outside is a reflection, a mirror of our inside, and then you have an option of choosing to believe that or not? But I decided to believe that because the moment I decided to believe that the outside life that I live is the reflection and the mirror of my inside energy that I am creating, everything changed. Because I'm the one who is in control. My inside energy. But if you focus on the outside, I am not able to control when somebody else is involved. So it makes life much, much easier if you decide to see life so. Cause is inside, effect is outside. Yeah. And then when I say that, you might be wondering, am I going to use my psychic ability? You might be thinking right now that, but what about this? What about this situation on this side, on the right? What about this on this upper left, right? What if you choose to decide that over there on the right, over there on the upper left that feels stagnant in your life, what if that's a mirror effect of somewhere inside of you? And then stop looking at changing and fixing the outside and look inside and what changes needs to be made inside. And then when that happens, what if the outside changed? What if the only reason that the outside is staying the same is because you're neglecting to see the inside? What if that's true? You can experiment, right? And then see what happens. Because one of the things that I know by experience and also data, I never talk about data, but data is that everything happens by energetic resonance. You're here because you got pulled through the energetic resonance that I am initiating. You felt called to move to come here. That's an energetic resonance, right? And there might have been different thinking process around, oh, I saw the information, you read what you read, but the truth is that every happening is not happening through the cognitive rational realm, but it happens in the pool of energetics. So if every happening happens through the energetic resonance, that's what we want to focus on. And when things happen and unfold through the energetic resonance, there is a probability, possibility, and a little bit of unpredictability in a predictable way. Yeah. I'm not making sense, just so you know. Yeah, that's how energetic resonance happens. So what that really means is that if unpredictability is happening in a predictable way based on the energetic resonance, sometimes the outside things might be something that you don't know how it's going to change in your rational mind, but if you let go of the idea, it can change. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the divine blueprint. Yeah. So you might have noticed that the subtitle of today, the Art of Becoming, is Mastering the Divine Blueprint. Yeah. It's not divine blueprint. It's a mastering the divine blueprint. Yeah. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about mastering your vibrational reality. Notice that today, tomorrow, this is mastering verb, and then right before divine blueprint today, it says the article the. But tomorrow is your vibrational reality. I don't know if anybody pay attention to that subtlety. Yeah, I call it the divine blueprint because this divine blueprint, I'm not talking about your divine blueprint. I'm talking about the divine blueprint that is consistently same for every single one of us. Yeah. This divine blueprint is a path in the journey of the soul that I have observed and witnessed and experienced myself and watched people going through based on this framework that is inevitable for anybody to escape out of. And if you lean into it, and when we start understanding who we are, and the dynamic of the soul and the mind and the body, the spiritual dimension and the physical world, it becomes something that we can really honor and embrace and take advantage of it. Yeah. Tomorrow is not that vibrational reality, but it's your vibrational reality, because your individual mind is going to dictate, initiate, navigate your vibration. Yeah. I just want to make a distinction. So today it's more about the framework, the rail that we are in this physical life. Okay. So when we understand that we are spiritual being living on earth, gifted with the mind and the vehicle called body, there's something that happens in each and every one of us when we enter into this earth plane. We all go through the process of separation. Yeah, we go through the process of separation. Now, what do I mean by that? When we come to this world, we came here whole. Yeah, you can use the term experiencing oneness. Even physically, you are one with your mother, being inside of mother in the womb. Even when you came out of mother's womb, you are connected with the mother, right? So most of the time, when the embryo becomes a baby infant, that process, the baby, the infant, the child is not yet consciously aware of understanding the distinction between who, I am and who they are. But that is the process that we go through, right? So when you look at the physicality of the world, because space exists, my body exists, your body exists, the light, computer, the nice picture that I see behind Denise, and all that exists, right? Those exist because of separation. Yeah. So just to give you an idea, the spiritual realm is the realm of absolute. So there's no separation. Yeah, there's no separation. And then you can start that going to this experience and the feeling of non-separateness, starting from your visual. Meaning that maybe you can imagine that you enter into this like a room that is all white. When you close the door, there's no distinction between the door and the wall surrounding. Because it's all white, you cannot see the separation distinction between the ceiling and the sidewall and the floor. And there's no mirror, so you cannot see yourself. Now, if you look down and see yourself, you're also white. Yeah, there's no separation. Yeah, that is the realm of the spiritual, which is the realm of absolute. Yeah, it's very boring, just so you know. People are wants to awaken spirituality, but the realm of spiritual is very boring. There's all white. Yeah, what is fun about that? There's no beautiful art like that my friend Mali painted. There's no tree that you can breathe into, or there's no colors. The spiritual realm is very boring, everybody, but we are wanting to get there. Why? Why, right? So, I mean, that's a little joke, right? Boring is an idea. Boring is an opinion, and boring is an experience that I'm sharing with everybody, but there's not even such a thing in a spiritual plane. So we don't need to worry about even being bored. That's what it is. Makes sense. So when we come to this physical realm, we go through the process of separation. We were one with no separation in the spiritual realm, wholeness, and then we go through the body individuating, which is the process of separating from the mother. And then you start identifying yourself. You have the body and the surrounding when we start growing, yeah. And then when we go through school, when we go through different places, you start building and developing an individual sense of self, that I am somebody who, I mean, when we are little, we don't say that I am somebody who had this body, right? You think that I'm that body that I'm seeing through the mirror. And then you have friends. The friends are not you, but people around you. Yeah. Can you see how this separation process works in the process of infant to baby to, I mean, baby, embryo to baby to infant to becoming a teenager and adult, right? So we're going through that. The physical earth life is the process of individuation / separation. And then guess what? There are all kinds of people telling you about what it is, how it should be, how the world is. You see the news, the teachers tell you something, yeah? Your mother and your father tells you something. And in all these informations, which Don Miguel always talks about, different stories and lies, yeah, information that enters into our mind that begins shaping our belief system. Yeah, we are all following, yeah. Now, in that process, in that individuation process, what we all inevitably experience is the loss of contact with the being, the realization and the knowing that I am part of the whole. That sense deep inside of us that dissipating, because most of the time our parents don't know that the child is going through the individuation separation, right? I mean, the parents encourage us to become independent, to become an individual, but most parents, school teachers, and all that are not aware that that is also a process of separation from the whole. And then we start focusing on the outside. Who can we become outside to be effective, to be able to do things, to be able to create things, to be able to succeed things, and begin sort of entertaining in this dance between myself and the world, and people seeing you as wanting to validate all that dance of the mind. Yeah. Now, why am I talking about this loss of contact with the being? Because every single distorted belief that we have, that limitation that we have inside of us, every single negative thoughts, patterns, or emotions that we don't want to experience, it is a programming, right, that we got from our outside, but we are programmed because we lost contact with the whole. A couple of months ago, I posted in my Facebook group, what is the #1 reason that people struggle? And the only reason that people experience a pattern, habituated negative experience inside. I'm not talking about the moment of feeling fear when there's a physical threat. Yeah. But I'm talking about the psychological negativity that people seems to be repeating over and over. Those are a effect and the symptom that we are disconnected from the whole. Let me give you an example, because sometimes this kind of topic becomes very abstract and generalized, but let me give you an example of the, so like a common state that we might be in that actually reflect that we are demonstrating the loss of contact with the being. Yeah. Don't get disappointed, everybody. If you're needing to feel differently by going out in nature, it demonstrates that you're not seeing and experiencing yourself as a nature. Yeah. So nature is out there, but you and I and all of us are part of nature. Yeah. The movement of the tree happens, right? We are growing and moving all the time. I mean, hair grows, like I need to go to haircut every 2 weeks, right? Nail grows if you don't pay attention to it. It's moving all the time, right? So, and that movement is connected to the whole matrix. We are part of nature, right? If something happens in our life, and if you're accustomed to pray to something outside of you, most of the time is pray to God, pray to the universe. It means that you're identifying the whole separate from yourself because you are one, you are part of it. If you are seeking love and happiness outside, it demonstrates that you are not experiencing feeling inside of you. Therefore, you're seeking and searching and looking for in the outside. Yeah. So what happens when we get the contact back with the whole, you feel whole. There's no absence in whole. There's no absence of love in whole. There's no absence of happiness in whole. You are one. Yeah. So those are the indicator. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you never want to go to out in nature. I'm not saying that, right? But can we feel what you can experience going out in nature by being with you, nature, right? Can we pray feeling the infinite power inside of you? You know, I mean, I don't want to go into a different dogma and all that, but I think there is a misunderstanding in this idea of God, which for me, it means grace of divinity, that you start identifying something and the power outside of you. But I almost feel like, all the religions, and I don't come from any religious background, although I mean, Japan is heavily influenced by Buddhism, and the Peru that I grew up with was the Catholic, but I wasn't, I just like Christmas, right? But I don't go to churches or any. But I think based on what I have been exposed to, I think the misunderstanding is that people have not yet cultivated the idea and the realization that you are actually what you're praying to. When you start praying to indicate something to outside of us, and the real praying is to be in the energy that's already done, because you are so powerful. And there's no, I'm going to talk about more later, or two more later actually today. There's no distinction between past, present, future. It's all now, right? That's concept of the mind. So when you start understanding that the spiritual plane is right here, you don't need to go up in the mountain to experience spirituality. It's right here with us in every single moment. It's just a matter of accessing that and living from that place. And what that really means is that all the possible answer can arise from this moment. And the past, the idea of past and present and future is a illusion of the mind. So let's talk about that, because I'm talking about 3 illusions of the mind. The first illusion is that you begin seeing yourself as identity, the role that you're playing. Yeah. You might be a mother, you might have the way that you're expressing as a artist, healer, and all that, but that is a medium that you are expressing through. You are none of those temporally vehicle medium on this physical realm. You are the power underneath that. How can we tap into that? That's the first illusion of the mind, that we start misunderstanding that the body that we're carrying is us. The identity that we're forming is us, right? becoming somebody, that somebody is not the real you, but it's the clothes, the mask, the vehicle that you shape through the mind so you can express through it, right? And that's the first illusion, right? The second illusion is second illusion happens when somebody bothers you. Yeah. That this idea that this person is telling me something and I'm taking it personally, and to misunderstand that this another person is living that world of that person and has nothing to do with you. When somebody takes, when you take somebody else's comment or what you see in the outside to affect you negatively, that is based on the illusion of the mind, that the misunderstanding and not being aware that my energy is needing to be created from within, but to seek validation from outside is coming from that illusion of the mind. We're going to go deeper into that tomorrow. The third illusion is that we start seeing things based on the past, present, future. The time is now. Yeah. So I'm just going to lay out that in a simple way. And then little by little, we're going to go deeper into how that can tie into the way that we're living, right? So we come out here and losing touch with the whole, and we go through this separation. And then what happens in life is that you enter into school, you meet other people, and then you see them as somebody separate from you. And then because the realm of the physical world is not the same as this all-white spiritual place, but there's distinction, which is the realm of relative. And a part of the realm of relative is the law, universal law of polarity opposite. Yeah, we have left and right, up and down, different colors, different separation, uniqueness. And I think for many people, the formation of identity is very influenced by the relationship. Yeah, notice that we have this thing called empathy. Yeah, we feel what somebody is feeling based on our interpretation and perception. And in the construction of identity, how we see ourselves automatically tends to be dictated by how I am seeing that others are seeing me. Yeah, so there's this statement called, I am what I think you think I am, which is happening all the time. Yeah, I am what I think in my mind that you are thinking who I am. I am having an imagery of me, how you might be thinking that I am. So it has nothing to do with the other person, but everything to do with how I am perceiving the other person and expecting and feeling how that person might be seeing me, and my identity is being constructed through that dynamic. And that is actually a natural tendency because you cannot identify yourself in this physical relative realm without the existence of others. Yeah. But what happens is that because of the loss of contact with the being, let's just make it simple, right? That when you are whole, let's imagine that you are filled and full of love. Yeah. And by the way, love does not know how to attach. Yeah. Love means that you're not attached to anything. Love means that you're not attached to anything. It means that you don't get angry when you don't get what you want. That's what non-attachment means, right? So if you say to somebody that I'm doing this because I love you, and if you get angry and all that, there's a little attachment in there, right? Attachment is always a behavior and emotional dynamic that comes from fear. So when we all came to this earth plane, we were whole, means that we are nothing but love. Let's just see that way, right? You can go back to your, I don't know, if you have your, photo when you're a baby or infant with, a surrounding. If you can imagine that, because you might have some photos of that, right? That time when you came, you were full of love. And then because of that individuation separation, the separateness start producing that energy of fear. Yeah. The separateness begin creating that sense of worry and doubt. The separateness begin creating a fear-based perception. What is fear-based perception? Comparison is a fear-based perception. You see somebody and you see that person more than you, or you see yourself less than that person. That is a perception based on fear. So, because of the individuation, there's a lot of things, right? Different people, 7 billion people in the world, right? And there's a diversity and variety and uniqueness. But when you see somebody, or when you talk to somebody, if there is any energy of fear-based emotion or thinking process that arises from within, including some judgment or guilt, shame, envy, or something along the line of like internal competition of feeling less or more. Yeah. That idea itself comes from this fundamental feeling that I am separate from you. There's no ranks or comparison or separation unless you think and feel and believe that this person is separate from you, right? So the idea of competing or comparing you and somebody, or many people, this is a Marissa Peer thing that she does hypnosis, where she talks about many people, and even Dominic always talks about, many people have this fundamental feeling of not good enoughness, right? The not good enoughness comes from this idea and the influence and the way that we were talked to by our parents or surrounding, or when we witness something, experience something, and then we felt sort of less than. All those incidents and the experience that happens in your life and in your mind, that shows up as an experience because fundamentally we're not experiencing the wholeness of who we are. So the loss of contact with the being is inevitable. It's destined for all of us because we go through this separation and individualization in the process called life. And then we experience that relative realm where there are all kinds of different people, things that we go through. And because fundamentally that individuation takes us out of that connectivity, somebody's showing right now. We're going to be finishing soon, right? We have this connectivity. We start producing a fear-based destructive emotion, thoughts, belief that begins filling up our experience. Yeah. Now, one of the most important things that I think that needs to happen in the world is when we understand this process, what I explained, what needs to happen is to begin training our mind to form a different relationship with contrast. So contrast is the language that is borrowed by, I think many people talk about, but Abraham Hicks used this language, and it means negative stuff, right? Let's say there's a frustration or something that's going on in your life that throw you off a little bit, right? Things that we call negative occasion, right? There's not such a thing as negative occasion. It's always the meaning that we attach to what is that creates that experience of negativity. But all those things that's not feeling flowing, right? It's stagnant, or you need to hesitate a little bit. All those situations that we tend to humans tends to perceive as negative, we call that contrast. Why do we call that contrast? Because things that is negative is always what we don't want, right? Who wants something that is negative, right? Usually people don't want something negative. So what we don't want is the contrast of allowing us to navigate our attention to what we really do want, right? So we don't see that things as a negative or positive, right? We see things as neutral. And when quote unquote negative situation or experience arise from within, because there are only two ways that can arise. One, by experiencing something from the 3D world, or experiencing something through the past memory, which is your 4D, fourth dimensional, intellectual, psycho-emotional plane that comes from a memory. Many people call that trauma. Yeah. The inner experience of negative, destructive emotion, fearing about something or not believe in something, only happens when you come across something that appears to be negative in the outside, or what you believe to be trauma or past experience arising to create some inner experience, which is informing you, right? And how to navigate through those contrasts is the key. And when we begin mastering the divine blueprint and understand that contrast, what's not going well, or experiencing what I don't want, not to resist against it, but as an information to navigate our attention to what we really want, now you are developing what Don Miguel Ruiz called the spiritual eyes to begin creating what you want inside of you. So one thing that I would love for everybody to practice today and beyond is, what is your relationship with contrast? First of all, if you find yourself ending up naming the external event as negative, we want to realize that every event outside is just they are. Yeah, it's just they are, right? Trees are not sad when the leaves fall. It's just what it is, right? But humans have ideas and opinions and preference and like and dislike, all kinds of things. In our mind, the mind creates meaning about what is. So the first step to build a healthy relationship with contrast is to let go of the idea that there's negativity in any outside circumstance. There's no negativity in the outside circumstance. I know you might be fighting internally right now. There's this and that, right? There's no negativity in the outside world. What if the negativity is based on the meaning that you attach? Yeah. I want you to try and examine it. Because if the universal law of cause and effect is true, just like law of gravity, we experientially feel that it's true. The outside thing that you're seeing as a negative might change when you begin shifting your internal state. So the process of mastering the divine blueprint is to understand that that is the game that we're playing. Yeah, we are going through different experiences, separation and individuation, and therefore absorbing different limiting beliefs, these empowering emotions and negative thinking patterns. And then we are going through that to experience who we are not in this physical realm. Because only by experiencing who we are not, we can realize, oh, I don't want this. This is not who I am. To begin waking up into who you truly are. And the integration of the essence of who we are and the identity, how we see ourselves, needs to happen, which we're going to be doing that more tomorrow. But understanding and mastering blueprint is to realize, the game that we're playing, the loss of contact, and then how can we begin relating with all the things that we thought it was negative, the contrast, including our past, present self and trauma. Okay, that was a lot of information. Day one, I'm gonna finish with this. So this is the workbook that you have. So I think I covered them all. The loss of contact with the being, relationship with contrast, embracing the nature of the physical realm. We're living in a relative realm. Yeah, you have this in the email. 3 illusions of the mind is the illusion that you are the mind, and other people's opinion, ideas affecting you, and the illusion of the time. We can talk about that more tomorrow. To be able to become the creator, we need to let go of the idea that the outside events holds the energy, responsibility of our inner experience, but to recognize and realize how we can shift the meaning. We're in that spiritual lens. And I think the process of life is to become who we are not to become, to experiencing who we are not, to be able to remember who we are. And I think that has been convincing for me. Many spiritual teacher talks about in a different language, remembering, and remembering the wholeness, by becoming individual, realizing that actually we are not individual, but we are intervisual because we are connected. Now, the reflection questions that I have here is, so all of this, right? We want to come up with what is it that you're desiring in life? What is it that you want to create in your life? What is your desire? What is your heart's desire? Yeah, because the heart's desire is what we are here to demonstrate. And then I don't know what your heart's desire is. You only know. And we want to tap into that. And I think the more you can kind of watch the replay, and the more you sort of become aware of all these process that we're going through, it becomes easier for all of us to tap into the heart's desire. There are a lot of things that we are telling ourselves what is not based on how the mind is programmed. I don't think that the heart is ever gets programmed, but only the mind. The heart is waiting. The heart is waiting for the mind to notice that, okay, when are you gonna wake up? Yeah. So when you start identifying your desire, your heart's desire, how you want to express yourself, what you want to create in this 3D physical playground, the first question that we want to ask is, what is actually holding you back? Yeah. And then notice that in conjunction with your heart's desire, what is holding you back? When you ponder that question, are you finding yourself thinking about the outside, this situation, this person, this sort of things that you're in? Yeah. That's good to notice that you might be kind of saying, oh, because this is the situation, so I'm not able to, right? The holding back is never in the outside. But what you see in the outside that is holding you back is a after effect of what might be happening in the inside. So internally, what is it that might be holding you back, right? That's what we want to get to, yeah? And if there's something that you come up with the inside, or this is holding me back, we want to do Byron Katie here. Is that true? That's what she does, right? The work by Byron Katie, if you know what that is. You just simply ask, is that true? Or is that a story, lie that I'm making up? Am I making it up something that actually doesn't need to be existing, but based on my belief and perception from the past, present? Is this holding me back because this person told me so, and I ended up believing in that? Or because this happened in the past, and there's a little fear around it that I don't want to look into, and I'm putting that on the back of my mind. But is that really true, right? And anything that holds us back is always something that is not true, because our truth will never hold us back. So then we ask, what is the truth? What is the truth for me? What is the truth that I choose to believe to create the life that I want to be unfolding? Yeah. And then looking at your pattern of behaviors and thinking, how can you allow your truth to shine through? Everything, these all questions are internal. Yeah. What is this one thing internally that I am resisting and letting this story of me holding me back? What is the thing that I need to undo to unbecome who I am not? I mean, the answer of the question 5, what's in the way, is always ourselves. But what about me that is holding? What about me inside that is not allowing this truth to shine through? And then is that fear or resistance come from this assumption and idea that I am separate from others? Am I trying to be protective about something because of the fear of judgment or fear of anything inside? Those psychological resistance is 100% of the time coming from this underlying assumption that I am separate from the whole. Everything comes back to that. All the complex disease, which is not being at ease, that accelerate into something, comes from the lack of acknowledgement, the contact with the whole. Those are all information and symptoms that shows that life informing us to get back home, which is the wholeness. So I think the formation of identity, who we become in our mind and through our energy, the more we can demonstrate that acknowledging who we are, which is we are a part of the whole, a lot of stuff that is at the symptom level start dissipating. Many, the quote unquote illness tends to be like not being able to understand the real cause, right? And then I think stress is a big factor of it. But I think, why do we experience stress? Stress is a biological experience that not feeling safe inside. Why do we feel that way? Because we ended up believing that we're not a part of the whole. That's all there is. Because we started to believe that we are separate. And then different emotions and feelings and ideas that comes from that belief in separation creates emotional, destructive emotion. And that emotion is being experienced inside to inform us to course correct, to get back to what we can experience wholeness. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you could take a moment to go through these questions, that'd be great. And that is it, everybody. So that's day one, divine blueprint. And to help all of us going a little bit deeper, I know not everybody is into social media, but if you can take a moment to let go of that idea. And if you're in the Soul Purpose group, I am going to later today post asking what was your number one takeaway from day one. If you could share your takeaway, it will help you solidifying your what's going through right now, and that can impact and influence other people to sort of begin thinking about and seeing things from a different perspective. And that's gonna only help all of us to dive into and process and absorb deeper. So if you could do that, that'd be fantastic. The recording will be sent via email, and then you can have an access to the recording on the Facebook group right away. So day two, we're gonna meet tomorrow at the same time. Your vibrational reality. That's more a practical aspect of how to begin shifting the inside. And same time, 9 to 10:30-ish, and we're gonna dive into day three. So that is it, everybody. Thank you very much for joining, and I will see you tomorrow, same time.